Hey kids, this is Mr. Lamb.
And Mrs. Lamb.
And we're coming to you today on a video on fraction word problems.
All right, let's see what our learning target is. I can solve word problems with fractions and mixed numbers. Okay, sounds
So this is going to be a lot like that other one, except this is going to have word problems.
Yes. All right.
Oh, I went too far.
Yep. So kind of one of the ideas is what are our best steps? Can you give me the ability right there? Best steps. So obviously the key to word problems are the words in the word problem.
And the problems.
In the problem. Because you need to find that key operation, word or phrase.
Ooh.
And sometimes it is a word, but sometimes it is a phrase. That kind of gives you that idea whether I'm going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide.
So really the hardest part for these is probably going to be figuring out
Yeah.
adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing.
Right. Whoa. Before you go anywhere. So we know that adding is to combine to find a total. Subtracting is comparing. We want to know the difference between the two. Multiplication is just repeated addition. All right. Again, finding a total. And dividing is kind of like that subtracting. We're finding that missing part. So just kind of that key. And then the other thing you have to remember is you got to follow the steps for the fraction operations. Okay. Now we're ready to go. Would you like me to do this one or is this one yours?
I'll start with the first
All right.
problem. How's that sound? Okay, so let me change my little pen here. I like blue. No, I don't. I like green. There we go. So a log needs to be cut into 2.5 foot lengths. The log is 28 feet. The log is 28 feet long. How many smaller pieces can be cut from the larger piece? In other words, how many of these can I get out of this? So to me, I'm trying to get parts out of a whole. That sounds like division to me.
You could be at subtraction, but you'd have to keep on subtracting.
Yeah, that would
and
be like
subtracting and
silly
subtracting.
subtraction, really.
So division is that repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 28 divided by 2.5.
Whole number divided by a mixed fraction.
So we're going to do a couple of things here. First off, we're going to put this over 1 to make it look like a fraction because 28 over 1 is the fraction form of 28. And then we're going to change them to improper fractions. So I really don't know if that color is going to show up very well.
I don't think it is, yeah.
So let's go 28 over 1, and then we're going to leave this as division, and then we're going to change this.
And I remember Miss Berger did this, and then she did that.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, over 5 halves. Now, the thing that we said about multiplication, the reason division isn't hard is because we actually turned it into multiplication. So how do we do that? Well, we keep, we change, and we flip. So we're going to end up with 28 over 1 times, that's a weird time symbol, okay? Just like a whole bunch, like an asterisk, times 2 over 5.
And that's called using the reciprocal of that fraction.
Yep. Flip is really just the reciprocal. Okay, so now we look, and we want to always look to see if we can reduce before we multiply. So we look here and we go 28 and 5. I don't think they share anything. 2 and 1, they don't. 2 and 5. So I guess we're just going to have to multiply. So 28 times 2
is 56.
56 over 5. So now, break out your handy dandy calculator or do a little long division. 5 goes into 56 11 times. 11 times 5 is 55.
What's left over?
Well, I think, we had 56 and I just used 55. So I think it's 11 and 1 fifth. Now, that doesn't answer the question.
I was going to say, there's our
Because
mathematical
that's the answer, but that's not what the question asks. It says, how many 2.5 foot boards can I get out? Well, that 1/5 is not 2.5 feet long. So the answer to the question is going to be, I can get 11 small boards.
And because it's a word problem, we must have the words to go with it.
We definitely want to tell what our units are, what is the thing that we're actually finding. So 11 small boards.
All right. Let's see what the next one brings. And if you can give me permission to write right away. All right, one piece of fabric. Oh, this is mine. I love fabric.
She does. You should see my house.
One piece of fabric is 4 3/4 yards long, and the other is 3 1/8 yards long. What is the total length of the fabric in all? Well, that in all and total length, let me know. I'm either doing adding or multiplying. So, do I have two things to put together to get a total? It looks like I do. I don't have the same number repeated multiple times, so it is not.
Yeah, and it's not asking like, like
Not
what would
multiplication.
5 of them be or 10 of them be, which
Right.
would be multiplication.
All right, so it's just the two numbers. I want the total length and all, so I'm going to be adding. All right, well, I know anytime I do addition, I have to have a common denominator. So the very first thing I do is set up my problem, and I erase this right here because, whoops,
Oop, I can take care of that for you.
because it's supposed to be a 3 1/8, not an 8 1/8. So let me check my numbers again. 3 3/4,
4 3/4.
4 3/4, 3 1/8.
We have trouble with numbers every now and then.
I think I got it. And I see that I have both fourths and eighths, which are not the same. So I'm going to ask myself, what is the smallest number that both 4 and 8 go into? And it's 8.
It's 8.
So this is a no-brainer for me. 3 1/8 is 3 1/8. 4 3/4. I know I'm going to have to times that by 2. Whatever I do to my denominator, I
Gotta do your
to the
numerator.
numerator. So 3 times that's a 6. 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 2 is my 8. Now I'm ready.
So now all you have to do is add them together because the denominators are
Yeah.
the same.
We want to start with the fractions first. If I have 6 out of 8 and 1 out of 8, that's 7 out of 8. Number neighbors, proper fraction, it's in lowest terms. So now I just need to add my whole numbers. 4 plus 3 is 7. And my units are yards.
Very good.
So there's my answer. I know it's in lowest terms because that fraction is number neighbors.
And never question it when it comes to fabric.
No, I know my fabric. All right, moving on. I think you got this one.
Okay, so here's the next one. Let me give myself something to write with. I'm going to change the color again. Oh, I guess we'll start with green. So 5 pieces of pipe are on the ground ready to use for a fountain. If each piece is 1 3/8 meters in length, how many total meters of pipe are there ready to use? So again, what are we looking at? We're looking for, let's see, we have 5. Okay, so we have 5 pieces of pipe. Each piece is 1 3/8 meters. And it wants to know how many total meters of pipe is it. So again, this could be addition or multiplication. We're looking for total. But in this case, we have 5 of these. So I could add 1 3/8, 1 3/8, 1 3/8, 1 3/8, but I don't want to do that.
And 1 1 1.
That's right. Thank you.
5.
Okay, or I could just take 5 times 1 3/8. And again, just like before, we'd make this 5 over 1 because it needs to look like a fraction, times, and then we have to turn that into an improper. That's 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 over 8. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to look to see if we have anything that we can reduce before we multiply, and we are not doing well in finding things that we can reduce before we multiply.
And sometimes you don't.
So we'll end up with 55 over 8.
5 times 11 is 55. 1 times 8 is 8.
See, I do that mental math stuff and they
Improper.
don't like it. So
Oh, I
55 over 8. So let's see. 8 goes into 55. Let's see. 8 times 7 is 56.
Too much.
Too much. So let's see. That's probably a 6 then, right?
I'm doing
And
it.
that's 40. Well, thank you.
I'm just writing while you talk.
48. Subtract it out.
1. That would be a 7.
There we go. So we have, again, we'll do that same thing we did before. We'll come down, we'll come around. There's our whole number. There's our numerator. There's our denominator.
7 8. Wow. That's
You
an
guys
8.
really do hate when I run.
I know. No, I'm just right here.
It's okay.
And of course our units are
Meters.
Meters.
Yeah, meters.
meters.
Because we're looking for the total meters of pipe. So we know we have 6 7/8 meters of pipe that we
Meters of
can
pipe.
put together.
All right.
Moving
Let's
on.
see. We've got one
Probably
more
have
here.
one more.
Ooh, yes. All right. This one's mine.
Oh, so let me give you a pen.
I would like blue, please.
Blue it is. There
So
you go.
a piece of paper, 8 5/6 inches long, must be cut down to 5½ inches.
Ooh.
How much paper is cut off to make the new length? Okay, so I've got this number associated, 8 5/8. 5/6. It must be cut. So I know I'm gonna take something away from it, cut down to that amount, 5½ inches. So this is going to be a subtraction problem.
Because we're finding the difference between this
between
side
there.
and this side.
So we've got 8 5/6 minus 5½ and because
You
I'm
always
adding-
get the hard one.
Well, because I'm adding and subtracting, I have to set them up vertically and check my denominators.
Yeah.
And they're not the same.
See, that's why I take the multiplication and division.
All right. So I like to write my whole numbers first, put my signs over here, and then start looking at fractions. All right. I got halves and I've got sixes. And I know if I go 2, 4, 6,
Yeah, that's right.
so I'm just going to keep that
So that
6.
first one doesn't even have to change.
Yeah, it's just no brainer. It's going to stay 8
And
5 6.
1/2, we all know that 1/2 is how many? 6?
3 out of 6.
3 out of 6.
Now, I have to remember that I am subtracting here. So that's one of the key things, and that's why I like to bring it all over so that I don't like have things like spread apart, and I remember I'm subtracting here. So I'm going to start with my fraction. 5/6 take away 3/6 is 2/6, and 8 minus 5 is 3. Now I have to look at this, and I see that I can reduce.
Yeah.
2 goes into 6 evenly, so I'm going to divide both the numerator and the denominator. That's a 2 there, all right? And I'm going to get the whole number 3, because that doesn't change. 2 goes into itself once, 2 goes into 6 3 times, and my units are inches. And I know when I have 1 as my numerator, 1 and done.
Can't go any further.
3 1/3 inches. I've subtracted it out.
So I think that's it. So
Yeah.
if you're confused at all, there's always another video that you can help yourself that can help you out. But if not, go ahead and get started on that work, and we'll see you on the next video.
See you on the flip side.